great to be here, and this has been two great couple of days. And what I will be talking about now is news and its relation to space. So, why space, you might ask? This is a book called Good Morning Future. It's from 1983. And flipping through this, or looking at other utopian future scenarios, it's interesting to see that the future dreams are often dreams about mobility. They are visions of transportation, but also about having universal access to information, and thereby being free to move as you like. What I see in yesterday's dream of the future is a dream about independence of place, and about detachment. I believe that we have now fulfilled this dream, as mobile devices let us be in one place virtually and one place physically. My hypothesis is therefore that we will see a change where connection to space will grow in importance, and the time has come to reconnect. The success of location-based services such as Foursquare and Gowalla shows how important place is to us. It plays a big part in defining our identities, and it's always done so. Our time is very valuable, so where we choose to spend it says a lot about who we are and what our interests are. And it becomes a very accurate way of filtering information. Knowledge and understanding is not something that just comes about inside a person, but something that happens in the coordination between individuals, artifacts, and the environment. And it's therefore interesting to think about how different spaces can change the way we see and interpret things. Geography gives insight as to why things happen the way they do. It can also help us understand how news are recorded. For example, how distance and difference in culture can affect how a story is told. Therefore, I want to bring news and space together, so I'm introducing news space, which can be interpreted in a few different ways. The pace of news is constantly increasing, making it impossible for us to take part in news in the way that we used to do. And in the future, we'll be dependent on intelligent methods for sifting out what's relevant. And the mesh that we use to do this will have to have a very sophisticated design. At the same time, we're creating a new space where physical and virtual grids intertwine. And this is the space where any type of geotagged data lives. And I think it will change the way we look at our environments and their relationship to information. But, so what does it mean to connect news and space? Well, you can think of what I'm going to present now as an application that will help us filter the news in a sense. On an individual level, it could help us access relevant content. Through news space, you could have news passed on to you based on where you've spent your time in the past. It could also take into concern what kind of activity was going on in that particular place, and from that discern what you attended and what you're interested in. So say for example that you're someone who's working at a school, you will likely be interested in news concerning the educational system. But you're also a person who goes to a lot of concerts in Dublin, so that means you will be glad to have many articles about the music scene in Ireland to be passed on to you. In addition, you recently got back from a 2-month stay in Beijing, so local news from this city is probably still of interest to you. We can also imagine this system looking into the future and predicting where you will be spending your time. And you can be doing this by mining data from different sources, for example, ticket purchases or calendars and so on. So say you bought a ticket to New York, for example, with the news space system. They would know about your past locations and interests, and they can then present you with news that you'll be likely to find interesting before even doing your journey. What now remains is the present, and where we are right now also affects what news you're interested in. So being here in Dublin, for example, you become curious and you want to find out more about what's going on here. And since you're attending the IXDA conference, you also want to keep yourself updated about everything that's written about it, whether it is through traditional media, blogs, or tweets. So choosing this present filter is a way of finding news about what's going on in your current location in a very fast way. On a group level, news space could open up for a new way of sharing. Like-minded people with shared interests often interact within a defined space, And this can be an office, a school, a cafe, or our homes. And these environments are usually designed to reflect what we think is important as a group. And I believe that the virtual space could do the same thing. And therefore I'm proposing a virtual bulletin board. So imagine that you read an article that you want to share with your coworkers, for example. It might relate to what you're doing in the office or something that you've been discussing. So what you do is you tap this button to drop the piece of news at the location, and anyone who comes into that space will have it picked up by the newsreader. And I think that by tying news to space and by kind of limiting the access and narrowing the signal, the address can become more relevant and more personal. And it can really spur conversations on topics of shared interests. On a global level, news space can help us better understand news and their sources. Say you're reading an interesting article and you want to get some perspective on it. You just tap this globe button, and you can now see all reports on this event coming from different sources. I think one interesting factor in this is that it provides a very easy way of understanding how your local affairs are looked upon by other nations. This is something I think most of us find very interesting whenever we travel abroad. And there's a need for getting different perspectives on the same events and seeing how different sources report. You could also look at how a specific source, for example a newspaper, is reporting. A geographical mapping can be very enlightening by showing, for example, how Euro or US-centric many Western sources are in what you're covering. And it can help you search out good channels depending on the region that you want to know more about. The reports that we get from a remote place may not be what the locals there consider to be the top headlines at the moment. And being able to quickly spin the globe and look through the headlines from different places could be a quick way of gaining understanding of what engages people in different parts of the world right now. So these are only a few suggestions on how space can be used in our interaction with news. And I think we can find some really interesting opportunities by exploring the intersection of these two things. And it can help us to make a little bit more sense of our world. Thank you.